The automatic glass doors of Marketown slid shut behind her as the clock struck 9 p.m. Another long, exhausting shift had ended for Amelia Grace, 24 years old, quiet, kind-hearted, and unnoticed by most of the world. Her grocery store uniform was faded at the edges, her sneakers were worn thin, and her back ached from hours of stocking shelves and scanning groceries. But she didn't complain. She never did. Life had taught her to be grateful for even the smallest things: her job, her rented room above Mrs. Dunley's garage, and the warmth of a cheap cup of tea at the end of the day. She pulled her hoodie over her head to shield herself from the gust of wind sweeping across the parking lot. The night was unusually chilly for June, and the empty lot was bathed in the pale orange glow of overhead lights. Just as she was walking past the last row of parked cars, thinking of the leftover soup she'd heat up when she got home, she heard it. A cry. Not a loud one, but unmistakably a baby's cry. Sharp. Desperate. Alone. Amelia stopped in her tracks, her heart skipping. She looked around. The lot was nearly deserted, only a few scattered cars remained. Her eyes scanned the area, thinking it could be from a stroller, or maybe someone had left their car window open. But the sound didn't come from a car. It came from the shopping cart bay, farther down, where people usually leave their carts before driving off. Without thinking, she hurried toward the sound, her instincts sharper than any doubt. As she reached the bay, she froze. There, in one of the wire carts, wrapped in nothing but a thin blanket, was a baby, no more than 6 months old, trembling and wailing in the cold. "Oh my God," she whispered, immediately reaching in. The baby's tiny face was red, his fingers curled into fists, his legs kicking in panic. Someone had abandoned him. Amelia quickly gathered the baby in her arms, holding him close to her chest to share her body warmth. She rocked him gently, whispering, "Shoo, it's okay, baby, I've got you. You're safe now." And far away, from behind the dark tinted glass of a black limousine parked at the far edge of the lot, someone was watching. Inside the car sat Dominic Blackwell, one of the most powerful and private billionaires in the state. CEO of Blackwell Global, recently divorced, heartbroken, and weary. He had just flown in from a business trip and had instructed his driver to stop at the grocery store for a bottle of water and a moment of quiet. What he never expected to see was the woman who would, unknowingly, shift the course of his life. His infant son had been kidnapped by his ex-wife's unstable sister 3 nights ago. The FBI was involved. Every detective in town was searching. He had offered millions in reward, threatened everyone in court, even broken down in private behind closed doors. And now, from the dim privacy of his limousine, he watched in shock as a girl in a grocery store hoodie cradled a baby, his baby. He almost threw the car door open in a panic, but something about the way she held the child stopped him. She wasn't a threat. She wasn't running. She wasn't someone dangerous. She was pure. Gentle. Real. Back in the lot, Amelia took out her phone with one hand and dialed 911. "Yes, hello, I found a baby abandoned in a shopping cart outside Marketown. He's freezing, and I don't know how long he's been here. Please, send someone quickly." The dispatcher assured her that help was on the way. Still holding the baby tightly, she sat down on the curb and started humming a lullaby her mother used to sing when she was a child. The baby slowly quieted, nestling into her. Tears welled in her eyes. Who would leave such a precious little soul like this? 10 minutes later, police cars and an ambulance arrived. They took the baby, gently, checking his vitals. One of the officers turned to Amelia. "You might have saved this child's life. The temperature's dropping fast tonight." She nodded, but her heart ached watching them place the baby in the ambulance. She didn't even know his name. Across the lot, Dominic stepped out of his limousine, his legs weak beneath him. He marched straight toward the ambulance, past the sirens and the cops, his voice catching in his throat. "That's my son," he said, showing the ID, the photos, the FBI report. Chaos erupted. Everyone turned toward him in shock. But as the facts clicked into place and the detectives confirmed his identity, the mood shifted. Amelia watched in stunned silence. So that's the father? The one the news kept talking about? Dominic, despite the crowd around him, turned to her. Their eyes met. "You saved him," he said. She opened her mouth, unsure of what to say. She stammered. "I just heard him cry." He stepped closer. Most people would have ignored it. Amelia looked away, flustered. "I couldn't." He was alone. He looked at her, really looked, and for the first time in months, something inside Dominic softened. "Thank you," he said quietly, deeply. "You have no idea what you've done for me." But Amelia, overwhelmed by the attention, just nodded and stepped back. She wasn't used to being seen. She didn't know that this moment, this small act of kindness, had already begun rewriting her future. The ambulance drove away, the police lights faded, and the cold wind returned to the quiet night. Amelia pulled her hoodie tighter, unaware that her life had just brushed against a billionaire's heartbreak, and his destiny. She walked home in the dark, heart heavy, unaware that Dominic had told his driver, "Find out everything about that girl." And so it began. The next morning, Amelia went to work as usual, half expecting to wake up and find everything that had happened was just a dream. But it wasn't. Her phone had been ringing all night. Calls from the police, reporters, even one local news channel wanting an interview. She ignored them all. She wasn't looking for fame. She hadn't done anything special. She just did what anyone with a heart would have done. Still, there was something inside her that kept replaying that moment, the warmth of the baby in her arms, and the intense, grateful eyes of the man who claimed to be his father. The way he'd looked at her, like she mattered. She shook off the thoughts and tied on her apron. Customers were already flooding into Market Town by the time she got there, and the store buzzed with chatter. Everyone seemed to be talking about the mystery girl who saved a billionaire's baby. Her co-workers nudged each other and pointed to her. One even tried to snap a picture. She ducked into the back room, overwhelmed. She didn't want attention. She just wanted normal. But normal had already left her life the moment she stepped into that parking lot. By noon, a sleek black car pulled up in front of the store. It stood out like a diamond among pebbles. The windows were tinted, the engine smooth, and when the driver stepped out in a sharp black suit, everyone stopped to look. He entered the store and walked straight to the service desk, asking quietly, "Excuse me. Is Amelia Grace working today?" The manager blinked. Yeah. She's in aisle 3. Amelia, stacking canned tomatoes on the shelf, didn't see him at first. She was humming to herself, focused on the labels, when she heard a gentle voice behind her. "Miss Grace?" She turned and gasped. It was him. Dominic Blackwell. No photos did him justice. He looked tired but polished, worn yet regal. And standing in a grocery store aisle, he seemed so out of place, like a king in a coat of armor, walking into a quiet village. "I hope I'm not intruding," he said. She quickly pulled off her gloves. I didn't expect. I wanted to thank you properly," he said softly. "And I'd prefer to do it outside all this," he glanced around at the staring eyes. "If you'd be willing to talk." Amelia hesitated, but something about his sincerity made her nod. They sat on a bench outside, beneath the shade of a tree, just far enough from the gossiping crowd. Dominic leaned forward, his hands clasped. "My son's name is Caleb," he said. "He was taken 3 days ago. It's a long and awful story I wouldn't want to burden you with, but my ex-wife's sister has a history of mental illness. She blamed me for the divorce, took Caleb when the nanny looked away for a second, and vanished. You found him before he froze to death. The doctor said just an hour more in the cold Anne. He choked. Amelia reached into her apron and handed him a tissue. I'm glad he's okay, she said, gently. He looked at her with more intensity now. I owe you more than I can say. Which is why I want to offer you something. She blinked. Offer me a job. A new life, really. Not out of pity. Out of gratitude. Caleb hasn't stopped crying unless he hears your voice. My staff said he only slept peacefully in your arms. He bonded with you. And I think I did too. Amelia's heart skipped. I want to offer you a position as Caleb's caretaker, he said. Live in, full salary, benefits, the works. You'd be helping both of us. She was speechless. Just yesterday, she was counting coins to buy noodles. And now? I don't know. I mean, I'm not trained. I didn't finish school. I'm just a grocery clerk. Dominic smiled, the first real smile she'd seen from him. You were just a grocery clerk who saved a baby's life. That's more than any diploma could teach. She hesitated. But something told her to say yes. So she did. In the days that followed, Amelia moved into the Blackwell estate, a sprawling mansion surrounded by glass, gardens, and guards. It was overwhelming at first. The staff, the cameras, the towering ceilings. But the one thing that made her feel at home was Caleb. He reached for her every time she entered the room. He laughed when she made silly faces. He grabbed her finger and held it like it was the anchor to his little world. And then there was Dominic. He tried to remain distant, formal. But every evening, after long boardroom calls and media interviews, he'd wander into the nursery just to see Amelia humming Caleb to sleep. And slowly, conversation flowed. He asked about her life, her dreams, her family. She told him how her parents had died young, how she'd worked every job possible to survive, how she never thought anyone would notice her. I see you, he said one night, his voice barely a whisper. You make this cold house feel alive again. Feelings grew unspoken. Glances lingered. And while neither of them dared admit it, something deep was blooming. But not everyone was happy. Tabloids started digging. Billionaire falls for grocery girl. Rumors spread that Amelia was a gold digger, using the baby to get close to power. Photos were leaked. An article claimed she had a criminal past, which wasn't true, but it hurt all the same. Dominic's lawyers tried to shut it all down. He told Amelia not to worry. But she couldn't sleep. She hated bringing chaos to his life. One night, she packed a small bag and left a note. You gave me more than I ever thought I'd have. But your world and mine, they don't belong together. Caleb deserves peace. And you deserve someone who fits your world. Thank you, for everything. Amelia. When Dominic found it, he drove through the rain, searching every bus station and shelter in the city. Hours passed. His heart pounded with dread. And then he saw her, sitting on a bench outside the very store where it all began, her bag at her feet, tears on her cheeks. He ran to her. Why would you leave? She stood. I didn't want to ruin your name. I didn't want to be another headline. You think I care about headlines? His voice cracked. You think I care about anything but you and Caleb? She wiped her eyes. But your world. I don't care about my world without you in it. He stepped closer. You're the reason my son is alive. You're the reason I smile again. You're everything I didn't know I needed. She looked up at him, hope and fear warring in her heart. Are you saying? I'm saying I'm in love with you, Amelia Grace. Grocery clerk or not. You saved my child. You saved me. She smiled. Through tears, laughter, and disbelief. "I love you too," she whispered. He pulled her into a warm, rain-soaked embrace, and right there, in the very parking lot where fate had begun its plan, two hearts that never should have met finally came together. Clapperboard, ending, YouTube narrator voiceover script. Amelia was just a quiet girl behind a cash register, until one moment of compassion changed everything. She didn't chase fame. She didn't ask for love. But her heart, her courage, and her kindness gave a grieving billionaire and his baby a second chance at life. Sometimes, heroes wear name tags. Sometimes, the most powerful stories begin with a cry in the night and a heart that dares to care. If this story moved you, don't forget to like the video, subscribe to our channel, and share it with someone who needs a little hope today.